we're gonna move on to just the other day. Sony and PlayStation had a state of play, and I think if I remember, they said, or I'm thinking of Nintendo. Never mind. But this Sony state of play said that they were supposed to show off. I can't remember what, or I have it right here. Maybe it'll say. Okay, so the whole point of it was to show off Japanese-oriented game developers and studios because Tokyo Game Show was right around the corner. So with that, just know most of these are Japanese-oriented developers within Sony, but they did have a couple surprises in there, as you might expect. So yeah, how did you want to tackle this? You want to go word for word? Each of them. I mean, fine. I forgot we don't have many topics this week, so we can tackle each game, I guess.
If you say so. I mean, if there's a game on here you aren't interested in, we don't have to spend a lot of time on it.
No, very first one.
The good thing is this was a pretty short one. Like, this whole state of play was like 20 minutes, maybe 30. I don't know. It was
22 minutes, I remember. It was
Which I like. It was no fluff, no talking about nonsense. Like, bam, game trailer, bam, great game trailer. Like, that's the way to do a showcase. Like, honestly, this was one of Sony's better showings, in my opinion, in a while. Like,
I thought it was one of their worst, but that was
really? There was some cool stuff in here, man. Like, okay, you go ahead. Let's start with what we got. Tekken up there.
Tekken I liked. Tekken I thought was a fantastic way to start out. I don't know. I've always liked. I'm not a big fighting game person, but I have some like really fond memories with some of the old Tekken games. More in particular, I love Tekken Tag. Tekken Tag on PS2 was just awesome. Like, and I think that's probably a game we both probably think that game because we both probably played it at some point. But
Tekken Tag is like, I mean, I hold that in fairly high regard just because that game was like the first game I played on a PS2. And at the time, for me, it was like, whoa, this is incredible. I remember I used to have my grandmother like go to Blockbuster and literally rent the PS2 because you couldn't find them at the time. And I'd make her keep renting it every weekend. And I just played Tekken Tag Tournament over and over again.
It had like I remember it had like a bunch of game modes. It had like a story mode. It had, I think it had like mini games. I think if I remember correctly, I don't remember how.
It had a lot to it, and the different characters, learning how to play each one was a lot of fun. Like, I've always liked the fighting like mechanics of Tekken. It feels very like this is the wrong word, but like punchy. If that makes sense, even though everything's punchy. But
whenever
it feels
you punch, it'd be like
it feels very tactile. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking the right word, but I don't know. I feel like you can feel it when you're fighting in Tekken. Like other games sometimes feel a little too soft or too flowy. This game, like, you feel the impact every time. But maybe that's just me not having the right words to explain it.
I mean, they had what was the tiger guy? What was his name?
Was it
Panther Man?
I want to say King, but I feel like that's a different.
It's King.
I think it's King. Okay, I want to make sure I'm not saying the wrong game.
Yoshimitsu. I remember Yoshimitsu. Everyone remembers him.
Yeah.
You know who? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Yoshimitsu, King. I don't remember the main guys. But I remember like.
Isn't this one with Hayachi? Isn't it?
I don't remember their names. I'm bad with names.
The old man with the like bald top and like the spiky white hair.
Yeah, he's the father, I think, of one of these guys.
Oh man, don't ask me to explain the narrative to Tekken. I can't do it.
I'm not gonna. I never pay attention. I just like choosing characters and beating the crap out of each other.
I remember there was Eddie who did the capoeira where you can like breakdance fight. Like I've just always
that's right.
Always liked Tekken, so I'm relatively excited about this. Like Tekken and Soul Calibur, the two fighting games, like actual fighting games.
I was always more of a Street Fighter, or I was more of a Tekken guy more than Street Fighter.
I could never get into Street Fighter. Street Fighter is really technical. Like if you don't really spend time and learn those mechanics, which I feel like to me personally just aren't even always all that intuitive, I had a problem with it. But that was just me. I'm not a big fighter guy anyway, or fighting game guy. But Tekken and stuff like that, I'm into it. So I like this trailer.
I agree. If you haven't played Tekken Tag, what are you doing? Go play Tekken Tag.
Did you ever play Tekken Tag 2?
No, I never did. I've only played the first one.
Yeah, I haven't played it. I've got it sitting over there, and I have had interest to go back and try it, but haven't found the time yet.
That's the good old blue disc, I think Tekken Tag was. It's good old.
Yeah, back when the backs were still blue.
So next, something I'm not crazy about, but I'll let you talk about it if you want to.
I don't have a lot
Star
to
Wars
say.
Galaxy Edge. I think this is a VR title.
Yeah, it's a VR thing. I'll tell you, the wind got taken out of my sails with any PSVR related stuff after that last thing we talked about.
Yeah.
I mean, this is neat. I mean, I
Fine.
like this kind of stuff, like from, just a environmental kind of experience kind of thing. Some of the Star Wars games on the VR have actually been pretty good. I don't know about this one in particular, but I played some of that Vader Immortal on the Oculus, and that was pretty solid. So I wouldn't be surprised if this was relatively good when it does show up. But
Tell you
once,
what, when it comes to these VR titles, I would actually I would actually appreciate less gameplay or less like fighting and action. Like I feel like for me, what I would desire would be more like the interaction,
yeah, and that's what a lot
open
of these
world
are.
and
Like, because a lot of them, like even like that Vader Immortal thing, like there's combat and stuff, but it's all pretty slow paced because you can't really like fight the same way you do with a controller as you can when you're walking around, literally moving. So
Mhm.
a lot of it really is just exploring and interacting with stuff. Like in that Vader Immortal game, man, when I put that thing on and you see Vader standing in front of you like a legit like 7.5 foot Vader, and you can reach out and start touching the buttons on his chest. Like it was a pretty cool
Mhm.
moment. So I wouldn't be surprised if this was also a similar type of experience. But once again, I am very down on the PSVR right now because of that lack of backwards compatibility and their rationale for it. That's probably more why I'm
Yeah,
mad, to be honest.
fair enough. Yeah, I mean, once again, I'm not crazy about PSVR, but I don't know. We'll see. If I ever find one relatively decently priced, maybe, but
They're
I'm not
still
like going
pricey
out of my
right now.
way.
Like I've seen them for good prices. A couple of pawn shops I've seen that are selling for like 140, which is technically good. Because I think right now at GameStop they're still selling for like 200 and up. But honestly, for me to buy, especially for a PSVR one, it's got to be like well under $100. But that's just me.
Mhm. All right, so a game I actually was more interested in though that came up after this game was a game called Demio,
Hmm.
which it's actually kind of funny because you and your wife were talking recently about wanting to play some D&D or some tabletops or
Yeah.
something. This looks kind of fun because it is a tabletop VR game, which is super fascinating. There's like cards and you have to do rolls and you choose classes and all that. I don't know. What do you think? I think it looks super fun. I think that whole idea of maybe possibly being like a dungeon master while overlooking all of this seems kind of fun.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested. I mean, I didn't look enough into like the mechanics of it to know if it's going to be like a true kind of D&D like experience. Not that I would know. I'm not well versed in the D&D kind of stuff. But yeah, no, that's kind of what I thought of too. Like, this could be pretty cool if you can get people together to, play it. But here's the catch: like, you would need 4
Yeah,
PSVR headsets, which, I mean, the cost of that's going to be rough. I can already imagine. And here's the thing too: like, so if me and my wife want to play it, not only do we both need PSVR 2s, we also need 2 PS5s. So,
I'd go out and buy one just to play.
you'd buy another PS5 and a PSVR
No, I
2.
just mean a VR. I just mean a VR.
Oh yeah, well, I was saying like, okay, for you, yeah, all you have to do is buy the PSVR 2 because you already got the PS5. But like, if my wife
Mhm.
wanted to play, that
You
means
have to
I
go out and
need
get another
another
console.
PS5 and 2 VR. Like, that's like a $1,200 expense, probably. I'm going to imagine by the time all is said and done, and I can't imagine any game's worth that to me. So I don't know. I mean, it's neat. I know it says right now it's being developed explicitly for the PSVR 2. I really hope this is one that comes to other platforms, like hops up on the Quest or something like that. I'll tell you, I mean, I don't know what the Quest price is going to be when the new one comes out, but the fact that it's standalone, that's really nice, man. That's one thing, too, with the PSVR 2 that always gets me down is it still has to be tied to the PlayStation itself. It's not a portable thing. It raises the cost of it just inherently. I don't know.
I just thought about something
Mm.
that would force me to go out and buy a VR. If I ever got my perfect Yu-Gi-Oh like a Yu-Gi-Oh version of a VR with some AR stuff involved, like that is my like perfect like because that was always my favorite part about Yu-Gi-Oh was like just the
Grab your
card
deck
game
and be like,
aspect. Yeah, that stuff
you just
and
want
then
to
the
have a
card game.
virtual arm that you can reach down and pull cards from.
Yeah, that would be perfect. And then like
It would be a
the
lot cheaper just to buy one of the little card toys and just.
well, not just that, but like in VR, you could do like the AR
I get what you're
stuff of
saying.
battling the monsters, where like yeah, you perform the movement of pulling your card out, placing it, and all that stuff. But then when the monsters pop up out of the card, you can watch them do battle, and like
That could be
that
neat.
that would be awesome for a VR game.
You know, I don't know if you saw. No, we're not talking Tokyo Game Show stuff, but Konami just announced like
I saw
four
you guys
Yu-Gi-Oh
Yu-Gi-Oh.
games. So
Uh,
maybe. But I would really hope that it. I mean, not that it would, but I'd hope that they would put that on the Oculus or Quest or
yeah,
not exclusive to the PSVR. That's my one thing I hate about these VR games right now. I mean, this is true for any platform.
exclusivity. Yeah,
Yeah, it really sucks for the VR stuff just because of the cost of entry for it. Like, it's always been that way. If you like want to get a game that's only on Xbox or only on PlayStation, you got to buy the console. But now it's okay. You got to buy the console and you got to buy the headset. If you want to play a game that's on PC VR, you got to have a good PC and the headset. Like, that's why I like the Quest so much. Like, I know they're going to be raising the Quest price, and the Pro one's probably going to be stupid expensive. But even if like the Quest Pro comes in at $600, if it could be all in one, has a great experience comparative to something like the PSVR 2, I'd rather spend $600 on that one unit than have to go get a headset for my PS5. So I'd like to see these games that are probably going to be exclusive be more readily available on other platforms just for the cost factor alone. But I don't
yeah.
know.
That's honestly the reason why I don't play many Yu-Gi-Oh games nowadays. Is because though
Because you
I've
can't
never got
visualize the monsters fighting.
that, but I've never gotten my perfect Yu-Gi-Oh experience. Not since the old days of Game Boy Advance. Game Boy Advance with Eternal Duelist Soul was like the perfect Yu-Gi-Oh game.
You know what would
And ever
probably
since,
help, right? You grow your hair out. We get some really strong hair gel. We get a giant pyramid necklace.
Giant Pyramid
And
Necklace,
you're
yeah.
good.
Give me split personality disorder. Yeah.
But no, I feel you. I mean, that would be neat. I mean, I'm not the biggest Yu-Gi-Oh fan, but I could even see the appeal to that. And honestly, stuff like this Demio, like these are good VR-like experiences where you could get together with friends virtually or remotely and feel like you're connected together in a pseudo real world environment to play games like this. Like, it's a great idea. I just think the cost of entry is going to be a big barrier for people if this is going to be an exclusive title, but we'll see.
Yeah. All right, somebody get on that. Get on Yu-Gi-Oh. Make that. So we'll move on. I think you actually had a note on this in the notes. This is a Yakuza game set in like feudal Japan, which is kind of neat. It's called Yakuza Ishin, which I actually did hear about this, but your note kind of brings it up. This is a game that actually came out in 2014.
I think it was 14. Might have been 2015, but like mid 2010s.
No, you're right. It's 2014.
Okay.
But this is super interesting because I'll be honest, it's not a game I had ever heard of. But I don't know. It's not a game I ever heard of, which is kind of interesting to remake a game and bring it from 2014. But I don't know. You seem like you had something to say about it.
I don't have a lot, but I mean, it makes sense to bring it now. Like, Yakuza has been having a pretty big resurgence the past, 3 to 4 years? I mean, they've had all the remasters.
I played Zero. Zero was really good.
Yeah, and then Like a Dragon's been getting a lot of attention. You had Judgment. You had all this, Yakuza, like, spin-offs of coming up. So it seemed like a good time. And honestly, the gameplay in this looks pretty good.
And I believe I should say, though, I believe they said they dropped the Yakuza name. These are not called Yakuza.
Yeah, apparently it looks like
Like a Dragon.
they're killing off
Ishin.
the Yakuza name for whatever reason.
Every game Yakuza oriented, I believe, is just called Like a Dragon from here on out, which I guess I understand. I kind of like the
Do you think the
Yakuza name.
real Yakuza are getting up in arms about it? They're like, we're coming after you? I don't know.
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I don't really care too much. I mean, I don't know. I feel like it'd be a dumb idea to drop that brand recognition, but they apparently, have some other instigating factor for why they don't feel like they need it. But the game itself looks pretty fun. I mean, I like most things that are feudal Japan.
Their games are so ridiculous, though. They're not like serious title.
Right, and
They're,
that's
like,
what's fun
wacky
about it.
and, yeah.
Like because I just played Ghost of Tsushima not too long ago, and that was a lot of fun.
Serious.
And that was super serious, which was great. I mean, I really loved that. Seeing this just on the other spectrum from a gameplay and kind of just narrative kind of atmosphere, like something a little more lighthearted set in that time, seems like a lot of fun.
Well, I think you'll like Ghost of Tsushima 2 later on in this list. So next after that, we got a game, this is just something what's this game?
Oh, this is the Harry
Lord,
Potter
Harry
DLC.
Potter. What's it called though? It's
Legacy of Hogwarts. Is
Legacy.
that it?
Almost called, yeah,
Hogwarts
Hogwarts
Legacy.
Legacy.
Man,
There you
just what
go.
I know.
But so yeah, I guess the next like new announcement that they showed was this game called Pacific Drive, which is an odd sci-fi looking game that I believe from what I understand it's survival horror
Mm-hmm.
almost. Um, and it looks very Ghostbustery. Like you have this car. I'm assuming this is VR. This
No,
looks like a VR.
not
No,
VR.
just
Not
first
that I know
person.
of. It's just it's just a
Oh,
first person driving. Well, I don't know if it's all first person. I mean, maybe I have to look at a
I don't know.
gameplay trailer again.
It looks kind of Ghostbustery though. You have like a car with all of this like supernatural readings and being able to like detect stuff.
I'm curious how
And it just
Ghostbuster is going to be though, because you don't really get out of the car. Like the whole point is you were driving away from stuff. It's a driving game.
well, I just mean like
Just because you're in a car.
and the car can do a bunch of stuff. Goes this, yeah, I agree with you. It definitely seems like it's more survival horror oriented. But I don't have a heck of a whole lot to say. I think it looks kind of interesting. I
I
can't
like the look
tell
of
what
it.
this art style is. It like cell shaded kind of?
It
No, not
doesn't like
really.
cell shade. It looks like everything's very oversaturated.
Yeah.
And a little. I don't know if a good word to say like silhouette-y or something. Like it's definitely doing some stuff with light to kind of highlight certain areas. But
Mhm.
I like it. I mean, I'm not a big survival horror guy. Like there's a fine line for what I'm willing to kind of deal with and what I'm not. And this, I think,
Doesn't
because of
look.
the
This doesn't look super
yeah, it
horror
doesn't
to
look
me.
super intense from that standpoint. It just looks, like has some good tension to it. It's got a cool kind of mood. There's some cool visuals. I like driving
Mhm.
games, so I don't know. I'm kind of digging this. I need to see more, of course, but I like it. I'm not negative on this one at all.
You don't need to see. Go pre-order it. You don't need to see anything.
Don't pre-order anything ever. That's like the worst advice you can give anybody.
Pre-order everything.
Now,
Spend all your monies. I don't know. All right, so we're gonna move on to Sin Duality, which I think I actually heard about. I saw this one. Um, I guess this was a fun mention. Oh, not fun, but they did announce that their PlayStation Stars thing is going to be getting rolled out into Asia, and then it'll be coming to America here eventually. And
you just earn like
I
little
saw
digital rewards, right?
I saw a lot of people that were so cynical on this whole thing, and I don't know. A lot of people don't seem to particularly care about any of this stuff. I was worried because at first, when I started seeing this stuff, I thought they were rolling out
NFTs
NFTs. And
wouldn't
I
surprise
was
me,
like,
man.
a lot of people still think this is a form of NFTs, but I first saw it, I was like, oh no, they're doing it. I
Well,
was
you
like,
saw a freaking
no.
Square with those Final Fantasy toy NFTs. Like,
Oh,
that's a whole nother topic.
but actually, now that I mention it, did you see Ubisoft has basically like wiped the whole quartz and all of that stuff?
Good,
They have like stopped talking about it. They don't acknowledge it. It's so funny. Like
good. I
I don't
think
know.
that the whole concept should just be gone. But I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm not negative on the rewards thing. It just seems really purposeless. I don't know. Reward systems to me got to give you something a little more tangible than that, like some points to spend in the store. Like if you really want to, reward me for investing in your ecosystem, give me some free credits so I can continue to invest in your ecosystem. So I mean, you throw me an extra $5 coupon every couple of months, I'll buy a digital game, and that will just keep me spending more money in your system, giving me a little Ape Escape 3D whatever that was. Isn't gonna do a whole lot for me, but to each
Real
their own.
quick, how are we on time? Or what are we? An hour in so far?
Hour and 23 minutes.
Already? Oh my gosh!
I
Holy
told you.
cow!
You were talking like, oh, this would be a quick podcast. Nothing we do is quick, ever.
All right, real quick. Synduality. You said it looks something like Lost Planet.
Yeah, that's the only thing
Uh,
I have to say. Like,
elaborate.
from what, and I didn't play a lot of Lost Planet, but I remember, you're kind of walking through
I've
different
never played any of
environments.
them.
For part of the games, you're in these little mechs. And in Lost Planet, you're not even always in the mech. You get out and do stuff, but there were moments kind of like this where you're in a mech killing some stuff, monstery kind of things outside. That's about the extent of it. I don't have anything
Fine.
more to say than that. I'm not negative on this. It's if you're a mech guy, you'll probably love this. If you're not,
Looks like JRPG Titanfall. All right. I have nothing. I'm not a huge JRPG guy. Like I feel like there's some titles I enjoy, even though I shouldn't say Is this a JRPG?
I don't know if it's a JRPG per se. I mean, I didn't see many RPG components in it, but I could be wrong. I just saw the mech stuff.
Interesting. The next one is this game called, what is it, Stellar Blade? I know it was called Project Eden prior to that,
Project
I think.
Eve.
Eve? Oh, Eden, Eve. But, yeah, it's some sort of also, like, maybe it might be JRPG-ish, but it's action-oriented. Although it looks kind of hack and slashy, maybe like Devil May Cry or something. But, yeah, looks fine.
Yeah, I'm trying to, like, say if I have anything to say about this game. It looks nice. A lot of the combat, from what I can tell, like, you're always fighting, like, one enemy. So it makes me hard to kind of feel like, okay, is it hack and slashy, like, Bayonetta style stuff? Or is it, like, I don't know, more intimate, kind of like Final Fantasy VII kind of action-oriented combat? I don't know. I mean, the graphics and the presentation look pretty good, so I mean, I'll give it that.
Looks kind of, what's the word? Maybe like Ghost in the Shell-y, maybe a little bit.
Yeah, maybe. This is a game I think I'd have to play a demo of or something to really get a feel for it. Like, it looks good, but that's about the extent of it. It almost looks too good sometimes. It makes me wonder if any of that was like true gameplay. But I don't know. That's kind of neither here or there. Once again, I think a demo or something like it, which they don't release nearly enough of those anymore, I think would be helpful. But looks good. Good enough.
And then I know one of the biggest announcements that a lot of people were excited about was this game that got announced called Rise of Ronin, which you made the joke off air, but like, yeah, it kind of looks Ghost of Tsushima in a slightly more modern setting.
Well, I didn't mean that as a joke. I meant that in a good way. Like, it looks like what I want to say I'd expect a Ghost of Tsushima sequel to be, but it's like, a more modernized period for that type of game. At least not, and the whole game doesn't look like that too. Like, some of these scenes honestly look pretty different than how Tsushima. That right there, though, he's riding the horse in that environment. That screams Ghost of Tsushima. So
I heard some people call it Ghost of Tsushima mixed with like Assassin's Creed. Cause it's all like flying and some other stuff.
And it's got some more dramatic kind of I don't want to say arcadey, but hack and slashy action in there. Like, Ghost of Tsushima was, I don't want to say realistic because as realistic as a game like that can be. This one's definitely got some more flashy combat. I mean, it's Team Ninja, so Ninja Gaiden and stuff like that. It seems like it's kind of got that DNA mixed in there, which is, I'm all for it. Like I said, Ghost of Tsushima, I know we haven't talked about it in the podcast much, but I really enjoyed that game. It was one of my favorite open world games I've played probably in the past couple of years. So anything with that kind of feel and environment with maybe just a little spin on the gameplay, I'm all for. So this game's kind of way out there, though.
Just because your name is Team Ninja, though, does that mean you have to make a ninja or samurai oriented game?
No, but that's not all they made. They made other stuff.
I know, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you're not funny. But the other thing is, like,
the guy's known for Ninja Gaiden, that Team Ninja.
I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong, but Team Ninja Gaiden. Yeah.
I'm just being funny. Just being a wise guy, that's all. Sheesh.
Well, you're not that funny. They did Neo, Dead or Alive. So, I mean, they've done a whole bunch of different stuff. But yeah, they do lean towards the, I guess, ninja-y something. Whatever.
They should have done like a Western mafia game, huh? Team Ninja, yeah, that's different.
Yep, sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, whatever you say. I'm sure. This game is way out there, though. I don't know if you saw the dates, like 2024.
Oh yeah, 2024. Yeah.
So it seems really early to be dropping this. I mean, sure, there's dropping a nugget there to kind of keep in the back of your mind, but I'm not a fan when they do mention games this far out, because for one, I think it leads to overhype sometimes, because people right now are already hyping this up. They're already getting excited about it. They've got a year to 2 years to wait for it. So
the world might not be here in 2024 for all we know.
Fair enough. That's a whole another thing. So I don't know. It looks good though. I'm digging it.
Yeah. And then the final announcement was, of course, a controller. No, I'm kidding. That was part of it, though, is they did announce a new controller for God of War Ragnarok. For people who like, what is this? What color is that? Is that like indigo, ice blue?
I think it's gonna be a blue. I'm gonna call it Arctic blue.
It looks purple to me.
Maybe a little bit. It's hard to tell with the shading.
I don't see. It just looks like a purple controller with some wolves on it to me. So I'm assuming this is probably going to be what, $100, 120.
I doubt that. Most special
Is it
edition
gonna be regular
controllers,
price, 70 to 80.
I'd probably say maybe $10 more. But here's the thing: most special edition controllers like that, I mean, really, at least that I've seen, are usually like $10 more because all it literally is a paint job. Now, if this was like that special, what's the name of it? Not DualSense, that's what this is called. The special controller that Sony's putting out, their Elite, that'd be a different thing. That's one reason why I don't think this controller is going to be super expensive. You've got that controller coming out, and that controller can't be more than $130. Because if they go...
Edge? It was like DualSense Edge, I think.
Maybe. That sounds right. So, I would imagine this is going to be an $80 controller. I'm kind of surprised. Well, maybe not surprised. Usually you don't see just special edition controllers from Sony. It comes along with...
a console?
Yeah, it comes along with the console. They probably don't want to get into that, though, just because, people can barely even find regular consoles. So
regular ones, yeah.
Putting out a special one might seem a little odd to them. Granted, Microsoft did it for Halo, so I don't
know. Yeah. So yeah, kind of going on, of course, as you would expect. We all got official gameplay and a lot of story kind of beats kind of shown off in a trailer for God of War Ragnarok. It looks good. I don't know. I mean, I thought everything looked fine. It looked very God of War-y. There's gods, there's war. It looked like God of War. I don't know.
Well, you haven't played the newest God of War yet. I know you're still working through, and you've only finished 1 and 2. So I'm curious how your opinion's going to change once you play the new one, because I'll tell you, the new one is a very different beast from the ones you're playing right now. And I'd be curious to see kind of what your preference ends up being. Like, I enjoyed the new God of War. I personally still kind of miss the old God of War gameplay a little bit.
I just want to throw in, like, I did read that the Kratos, it's a different Kratos, voice actor. The voice actor from the original games is not this guy from the last two. And I'll be honest, from what I've heard from this newer guy, I don't think his voice is that interesting compared to the original guy. I actually read that the reason why they switched VA voice actors is because they wanted someone whose body shape fit more Kratos, because the previous guy was super skinny. I guess maybe because they wanted him to do maybe some...
I'll see how that should make a big difference, to be honest, but okay.
And it couldn't be money, because the guy they went out and got this guy's an actual actor. He's from Star Trek. They got to play the new Kratos. The previous guy I don't think was a big name, so I couldn't imagine this guy was cheaper than the previous guy. He's probably more expensive, so I don't know. We don't have to go off on that, but yeah.
I mean, when I played the newer, was it 2016? 2018? I don't know when it was. Whenever it came out, I mean, I thought the performances were good, across the board. Yeah. So it may not be identical to what you saw or have just seen in God of War 1 and 2, but you're not going to, I think, be disappointed with this guy's performance. And here's that, it would have been so long since I had played any of the God of Wars, it's not like I noticed a big change or difference. Granted, you're going to be playing them in more consecutive order, so maybe it'll have a bigger impact to you. I doubt it, though. Like, here's the thing: the tone of this new set of games is so different than the old ones. I mean, for one, he's older, and just the way the games are set up and structured and play, like, everything is different. So I don't think a voice actor is going to make a big difference to you one way or the other. But
see, I'm very curious to see. But yeah, to me, it looks fine. It looks like God of War. I mean, I don't know.
I find it funny that you're saying that, because, like, the God of Wars you're playing with and the experience you have is not this God of War. So you say it looks like God of War, but as far as your experience of God of War, this is, like, completely different. So I just find that to be an interesting statement to say. I mean, you're right. This is God of War.
I just mean you're fighting. But I mean, I don't know. There is. I guess I can say there is more, like, it does seem as though there's more, like, emotional, sentimental aspects maybe that are happening in this that aren't happening in the originals, mainly because in the originals his whole family's already dead, so it's like, how sentimental can he be when he has nothing in those original titles,
I think for you to kind of have a good perspective on this game, you need to play
I gotta
the most
play the
recent
new
one.
one. I gotta
Yeah.
play the previous one.
So you need to hurry up on that. I am
I'll start
relatively
God of War 3
excited.
tomorrow. Or that-
I don't know. I'm not. I don't know. I don't want to come off like I'm not into this game because I very much am. I'm not going to be someone who probably buys this day one. I'll play it when it comes out and I'll enjoy my time with it, but I'm not super pumped for it.
I will say, not to be a hater, but I'm kind of hoping this game does really well.
It's going to do really well.
Because I don't think Elden Ring should be Game of the Year. I think this is Elden Ring has no competition right now. I already can tell that Elden Ring is like the love of the darling in video games this year, because this is a pretty weak year in video games, let's be honest, I think. So I think God of War is the last hope for I don't know, Elden Ring people. Because I tried playing it, couldn't get into it. I'd much rather God of War be Game of the Year than Elden Ring.
See, I wouldn't be surprised if God of War does become Game of the Year. Just looking at the trailer and just getting my kind of feel off what it's laying down, I don't feel like it should. No, I don't think it's fatigue. I don't think it should be Game of the Year. And I'm saying this way too early. You got to play the game to know. I know that. But to me, I don't know how much better this God of War can be than the other one. Now, I could be completely surprised, but the other God of War set in a really high bar with what it was trying to do. And you can say, and that's not even saying like how much you will personally enjoy the game, but as far as what that last game set out to do from a gameplay perspective, etc., it did most of it. Now, I know you could critique it and tear it apart, but that was an excellent game. This game, I mean, where do you really go beyond that? You have new set pieces, you add some more mechanics, you, of course, need a good story to wrap it out, but can you really make it better to the extent that I would call it Game of the Year? Or is it just Game of the Year by default because it's the new God of War? Like, that's what I fear is going to happen. It will be Game of the Year, but just because it's this super highly anticipated God of War sequel. And I know what you're saying about Elden Ring. I haven't played it, so I can't even give my take on the feel of it, but I feel just from my understanding of Elden Ring, how I've seen it kind of impact the gaming industry, that's a more impactful Game of the Year. Like, you may not have liked it, but there hasn't been a game like that pushed open world to that extent with that style of gameplay. Like, it was far more unique than I think what God of War is laying down here. But once again, that's unfair for me to really say because I'm just looking at it. I've not played Elden Ring, and I've certainly not played the new God of War yet. So I'm just kind of, projecting here what I think might be the case. But yeah.
Well, I think that's all nonsense, and you're wrong.
That's fine. As I'm talking on my butt right now because I really don't have any experience. But
ultimately, I shouldn't care who Game of the Year is. It's not a. It shouldn't be a thing I should.
Well, it's subjective no matter how you look at it. Like, it's hard to objectively look at some of these games. Like, compare a game like Elden Ring to God of War. They were two completely different games. They both should be Game of the Years for their genre, assuming they both set out to do what they want to do. But I don't know. Yeah. Like, I mean, last year, It Takes Two won Game of the Year. And I was, man, I don't agree with that at all. So, either way, moving on.
All right, so